Hey, greetings. Welcome back. Even though the government is shut down, the FAA is very active and in a very odd direction. I call it the rise of the resistance, and it is definitely something we need to talk about. Shutdown? What government shutdown? The FAA and its quest for a brand new air traffic control system is rolling. But maybe not quite in the right direction in my view. We have two powerhouses vying to be the single belly button to get the job done. Parsons and Peraton. I guess you have to start with a P in order to get this job. As the president, the secretary, and the administrator have been quite vocal about, they want one belly button, one company responsible and accountable to get the job done. And this announcement should occur not later than Hallows Eve. I, for one, can't wait. But outside the rarefied air of the 10th floor at the FAA building, soon to be the ground floor at the DOT building on New Jersey Avenue, the plan either hasn't been communicated or the workforce just isn't aligned yet. It started with FMDS, where the FAA had advised industry where they would be waiting for the integrator, and then just weeks later at the end of September they released a challenge acquisition, very similar to how they proceeded with the NOTAM's acquisition. But the kicker is they don't expect to get anything until the end of 2028, and that doesn't help the airlines at all until the summer travel season of 2029. The entire ATC infrastructure could be refreshed by then. Then, to top that off with some whipped cream with a qualified supplier request for new radars. Now, silly me, I thought we were going to get new radars. But now the FAA, not the integrator, the FAA is looking for a resto-mod provider, a solicitation to redo the electronics package and leave everything else alone. But it might be a really good plan, but let's face it, it is a service life extension plan, and it isn't new. I thought we were getting new. But the FAA hasn't gotten anything new in this entire generation. So I completely understand why they wouldn't want something new. Just throw another coat on that thing and everything will be okay. So these things make it pretty clear that the integrator is going to have their hands full corralling a very resistant culture. And for the cherry on top, the FAA's central region needs some furniture. And to get that furniture, they have released a sole source to Price Modern LLC, who is familiar with the layout of the building and can install the furniture by the end of the year. Yes, because furniture layout is rocket science, and they are the only company in the entire universe that has this knowledge. And the pressure is on, as failure to get it done will result in, and I quote, significant operational disruptions and financial implications. Really? Who wrote that crap? What operational implications are we talking about? The government is closed and they are not working today. So what do they need the furniture for? And don't forget, we just spent a few years working from home and we got along just fine. So any excuse to avoid competition and just pick who they want, I am sure the insurance industry is just thrilled about this. For me, it's just the principle of the thing. And you want to discuss operational implications? Don't you dare mix bureaucratic furniture crap with not paying controllers. That ain't right. Are we really ready for drone deliveries? Two different Amazon Prime delivery drones struck a crane near Phoenix, Arizona. No injuries were reported, but what about my grocery delivery? I expected it's going to be a little late now. Now these drones are pretty big, at over 80 pounds each. As these were aircraft and the crafts were destroyed, the NTSB and the FAA are investigating. Amazon, in their supreme wisdom, has identified that there was not an issue with the drones or the technology that supports them. Really? Then how did they run into the darn crane? Twice. So Amazon will be introducing additional processes to better monitor moving obstructions like cranes and, well, thank you. So all this research that we've been doing for over a decade between vendors and the FAA has just realized that cranes can actually move. Well, that was successful research, I guess. I wonder how much we spent on that. Holy crap. And speaking of running into things, United 1093 was involved in a mid-air collision at 36,000 feet over Utah. The captain saw something just before an object smashed into the windshield, and although the glass was broken and thrown around the cockpit with some injuries to the crew, the vinyl inner layer in the windshield remained intact and allowed the crew to get down to a safe altitude and then safely over to Salt Lake City. So my first thought was, hey, could have been a drone, but at 36,000 feet, that's a little high. So maybe a meteor, but nope, I was wrong. It was a weather balloon, part of the large constellation of weather balloons from Windborne. Windborne has been doing this for a while, and their balloons help with weather forecasting. But I don't think weather balloons are supposed to be hanging out at 36,000 feet. Now, there are regulations around these things that balloons are being manufactured to be extremely light in case of collision and things like that, but they shouldn't be in the middle of where airliners fly no matter what. Everything at those altitudes is supposed to be a cooperative target, and it was not. Now, let's talk about those Restomod radars again. How about some brand new ones that can see things that are supposed to be seen like a weather balloon to help keep us safe? Asking for me and my friends. So, on to some really good news, or at least a step in the right direction. Uavionix Corporation received FAA system design approval for its Flightline Airborne Position Reference Tool. Wow, that is a serious mouthful. And all that means it's an airspace situational awareness display for contract towers. You know, the kind of things that you get if you pull up Flight Radar 24 on your app. And other similar apps like that, all available on your phone. It is designed for contract towers that don't have any form of surveillance. So now they have a display that provides them ADS-B information, and although the display is really cool, it is a good looking thing. Did I mention that you could get that good stuff on your phone already? So the first airport to receive this is Glacier Park International in Montana. This is great news to bring to towers that have previously had absolutely nothing. It is clearly a great step in the right direction. This kind of tech is especially useful in that kind of environment because it has challenging terrain and you can't really see everything. So really good move. This is real progress. So let's close with one of my favorite subjects, and that is the unruly. The flight attendants on American Airlines flight from Charlotte to Las Vegas had to duct tape a passenger to her seat. Now that is the start of a great Vegas story. Unfortunately, it didn't stay in Vegas. The passenger became increasingly disruptive on the flight, threatening to kill the crew. So they restrained her with flex cuffs to her seat and used her seatbelt, and for good measure, tied her down with duct tape. What's good to hear, a federal grand jury has indicted the passenger on charges of interference with a flight crew and assault. I'm glad this behavior is getting some real attention. As always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe and the notification bell, and we will see you next time. Ah, shit, this is hard. Ah, shit. Fuck. Painful, man. God damn.